This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelly Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here. Well, hello, friends. Thank you so much for joining me for another conversation here on the Level Up Co podcast. We hope you are having a great week so far. I am here not with my girl Taylor, but I'm here with Taylor Nixon with Narrative, and has such an amazing story. We had his business partner on a few weeks ago, and we just love everything that they're doing over on Narrative, and they're just cool guys from New Zealand, right?
Yeah, came all the way over.
Yeah, all the way over.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I'm Taylor. I manage all the partnerships at Narrative, and I had the pleasure of working with a lot of different photographers in a lot of different niches. And it's just a real delight to be able to see all the different kind of creators that come into this role. And so a lot of my day to day is just making sure they feel supported, and whether that's the education work they do, the creation of content, or anything else that photographers get up to, really.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So over here on Level Up Co, we are big on diversification. As many of you guys know, my husband Paul and I, we have 618 Studios, which is our primary wedding business, cinematography, and then we have Westmade Films that does corporate commercial work. Obviously, Taylor and I do education over here, but my very first digital product was a preset called Illume LUTs. And so I created LUTs for filmmakers, and that's how I dipped my toes into the diversification journey early on. And it was primarily because we had had our first baby. I needed to offset the cost of childcare. It was just like a need in our household that we needed, and I filled the gap through diversification. And once I did that, it really opened up my eyes to this whole journey of diversification where it made me less risk averse as a business owner, and it brought more stability to our household. So Taylor's going to talk a little bit today, and I want to hear so much more about how photographers can kind of dip their toes into like partnerships to be able to create a little bit more revenue each month for their household.
Yeah. I think it's like you said, there's a lot of like channels like your own. It's like the presets making. A lot of people they get into the education space, and I think it depends on kind of the level in which you operate. But a lot of people do find that going into like an affiliate program is very beneficial. I think times are changing a lot. Back in a couple of years ago, we used to do the click this link, buy my thing, and audiences online maybe aren't as reciprocate of that kind of approach anymore. But if you do it with genuine kind of love and care for that product that you're involved with, and it feels like something you actually use, a lot of people are really successful in that because it's kind of showing like someone that's coming up or someone that you is maybe inspired by you, that you are a trusted source to try something that will help your business. So, yeah, a lot of people are turning to those sorts of programs, and we're obviously one of them, which offers this kind of support.
Amazing. Can you kind of give maybe an on average of what your affiliates are bringing in income wise, like on
Mm,
an average?
yeah. Thousands. Some are making thousands per month, and this is a mixture of different industries, such as content creation, or through YouTube, where a lot of people obviously go for like photography advice. And then obviously there's educators who are, showing their links or at least talking about how, beneficial narrative is to their business. But there's also, I guess, the increase of less affiliate link based work in which we do, especially where it's like we will support educators in talking about narrative or at least how it helps their workflow. And then also, obviously, also the content that comes with that. So, although there's obviously the traditional link route, there's also other avenues as well in which we work with people.
Can you talk a little bit more about those in
Yeah.
depth?
Yeah. Obviously, a big one right now is obviously content and how you show up online. And we love really partnering with people who, like I said, are genuine, who actually really appreciate the product and it is really helpful for them. And that's definitely one core avenue. And in events like this, a lot of people who are with narrative are speakers here. And sometimes they might directly talk about narrative, and sometimes they might just mention us within that or in the kind of circles that here with, they'll mention us as well. And obviously, we have a presence here, so people come say hello, which is awesome. Um, and yeah, that's kind of the two main ones. I mean, there's other avenues like smaller community events. We partner with a lot of ambassadors who are really passionate about that space. And overall, our kind of goal is to get in the community of photographers. As a, photographer-led brand made by photographers, we really care about helping this industry and helping it thrive and grow, as well as providing, partnerships that obviously align with both parties as well, for sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some friends years and years ago have so much success, and that was actually the first part that they did was they became affiliates
Mm,
for gosh, I'm forgetting the brand, but they became affiliates, and it was really impactful for their
yeah.
yearly revenue, and it was, like, back in the day of, like, still kinda doing the blog posts, and I know blogs are still great for SEO and
Mm.
stuff, but they would go in and create, like, blog posts about how they're implementing it in there, and it was popping up, and they were generating a
Oh, yeah.
great amount of money because of this, and so I think it's actually such a missed opportunity for
Mm.
photographers to be utilizing affiliate marketing in that
100%.
way.
Yeah, 100%. It's like you said, like, especially if you're, wanting to diversify your income for your family and your household, or even, in many ways, some people, they expect a busy period and then a quiet period. And in that quiet period, you're not shooting. But if you've got this platform or, this community that is interested in what you're, giving them and providing, it's a really strong way to kind of, bring that extra income in. And also at the same time, if you find the right brand, they can also lift up your profile. They can allow you to then uh, experience a lot more customer growth, and all of that. And yeah, it is a very important part of finding the right brand. I think I found online, especially like people can lose trust easily if someone is, maybe not actually genuinely using a product or something like that. So it's really important to take your time with this, I think. But when you find the right one, I mean, there's people who have been with camera brands for a long time, and obviously it's really impactful to their career. So yeah, it's definitely a really good way to um, use your talents to then help others and also have that diverse income on the side, which you can be very profitable with for sure.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like you guys approach your partnerships with a lot of integrity. You said that you like to work with people that just feel really
Mm,
genuine. And
mm.
is there an application process or how does that kind of look on their end?
Yeah, yeah. We have a standard kind of application form, but one thing I'm always doing is actively keeping my ears to the ground of who's in the space. And yeah, I mean, I'm a photographer myself and creative, and I know how important community is. And sometimes being a photographer can be isolating work when you're late at night doing your edits, or whatever. If you haven't got a second shooter with you or something as well. So generally, building this community of good people so we can do great things together is a very important part of the process, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so great. What would you say to somebody who's listening that doesn't know where to take the first step,
Mm.
where to look, how to kind of become an affiliate, and where should they look internally as far as just like maybe the top three tools that they're using in their business to see if they have a program similar to this?
Yeah, yeah. I think with the outreach, definitely take time to find businesses that you use and you work with. And sometimes you'd be surprised, like if there's a local, even some of the big camera brands, they might have a local presence in your area. Or, you know, the first hurdle is actually believing that it's not that hard for you. There's people who I work with who only have, a very small follower base, but are extremely impactful because that follower base is very tight knit. Um, and times are changing, especially. Like, I think the days where having to be a massive influencer is kind of over, in a sense of, I mean, obviously that's still very impactful, but overall, it's that connection and engagement with your audience that people are overall looking for. But kind of looking internally, I think, yeah, it's definitely picking a business that aligns with you and what you need, and overall, will provide a lot of benefit both to you and you to them.
Hey, friends, really quickly, I'm going to interrupt this podcast episode because I just want to say we are so grateful to have you as listeners. Heading into our 2026 wedding season and into 2027 next year, we just know that so much is on the horizon for you. Because you're listening to this podcast, that means you are a really ambitious photographer or filmmaker, or maybe a content creator in the wedding industry who has sights set on the next level of business. The Luxury Mastermind program, which is our signature program here at the Level Up Co., is going to help you do just that. We have helped hundreds of wedding filmmakers and photographers elevate their businesses into that next level. A great example of this is Skylar Ball, who is a wedding filmmaker based in Tennessee, who was charging $3,500 per wedding when he joined our program, and now 18 months later, he's consistently booking at $12,000. We've had other students book their first five-figure wedding during our program, and we've had many students be able to double and triple their prices, which sounds crazy, but it's actually true, and we are so proud of them. If you are ready to see growth like that, if you're ready to get to that next level in business, book out your calendar year with weddings at a price point that you feel so proud of, and with weddings that are artistically fulfilling for you and that are just so fun to capture, we would love to welcome you inside our next round of the Luxury Mastermind. We are currently pre-enrolling seats before we officially launch, and students who pre-enroll get a bonus one-on-one coaching call with Kelly or myself, which is something we absolutely do for our students as a little thank you for signing up early. You can go to thelevelupco.com/mastermind to learn more about the program, see what's inside, and to pre-enroll. That should be linked in the description box down below if you're watching on YouTube, or linked in the description if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Kelly and I are so excited for our next cohort of the Luxury Mastermind, and we hope to see you in there so that we can guide you to that next level of business and beyond.
Yeah.
That's so great. You said something that I loved just a second ago. You said just the first step is believing that you can.
Yeah.
And I'll
Well,
say, like, I mean, that's so true. And I could see how Taylor and I felt the same way with this podcast. So Taylor's had this podcast since 2020, and she had
mm,
it for 3 years by herself. And then she brought me on, and we, for 3 years, and you guys maybe listening have noticed that we've recently began like partnering with other brands, and we have ads that are running as pre-roll and mid-roll ads. And we had said, like, first we just didn't think that anybody would ever say yes to us.
mm,
Like we never thought that we could. So for literally 2 years, we just kind of told ourselves this lie of like, I don't think we can. I don't think anybody would partner. And so we never took that first step to actually like reach out and ask.
yeah.
But then also, similar to what you were saying, is that like you want to work with people that are genuine, and you have to be really careful because you want your audience to feel like you as the platform are
Mm,
putting great people in front of them.
mm,
And so there's great care that we also had to kind of take in. We had been approached over the years with maybe some businesses that we felt like weren't similarly aligned with like our goals for our audience. And
yeah.
so we've had to gently decline. And so it was
Mm,
kind of that mix of like, first, us not believing that we could, and then number two, being really picky and choosy about it. And I think that when you do that, it really creates a beautiful partnership for it's beneficial for the listeners. It's a great partnership for that brand because we know that it's like, hey, our audience needs you, and like
yeah.
you are a great fit for like our entire messaging
100%.
in the business. So yeah, I love that you said that, because I was thinking that, being like, I just lived that for the last 2 years and not really
Yeah.
believing that I could.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it's like, it is such a big part of it because, I think as creatives and, generally people are quite critical of their work and maybe don't think like, oh, they won't pick me or whatever. And I think it can be quite surprising the opportunities that can come from just reaching out. And then, yeah, I liked what you said just then around, like that relationship is really important because I do think you should be picky. I do think that, like, because at the same time, like, if you've built this public profile for yourself, you don't want to side with a brand that maybe might hurt that reputation or, no one wants to feel like they've lost that trust with the audience. Um, but yeah, I love that you've experienced that because it's it's definitely I have personally too. Like before I was with Narrative, I was freelance and doing partnerships and whatnot, and it does surprise you sometimes how what you can unlock just by having that mindset, that abundance mindset for sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
we love an abundance mindset, and we are
yeah,
always telling our audience or students or anybody that we're working with is like,
mm,
have that thing of abundance, and then you have
yes,
to sometimes internally look like, oh wow, I'm really lacking in abundance, and I'm
yeah,
acting on scarcity here in my own
100%.
life. I need to like practice what I preach to
Yes.
my audience and do the same thing,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's great. Well,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Before you were with Narrative and you were a
Mm.
photographer, were you utilizing affiliate marketing?
Well, in New Zealand, there's less so of a presence of large scale brands, but um, a lot of stuff I was doing was kind of working with those brands. And although I wasn't directly affiliate, I was kind of like a community member in that sense. So
Okay.
before I was with Narrative, I used to run community events
Okay.
with the creatives. And then I also work in film. So there's obviously a lot of crossover there. Um, but never quite an affiliate. But it is quite interesting to be from that world and then coming into this. But I think it really helps kind of contextualize. Like, being a creative, I know, we're a special bunch. Like, there's a different kind of like, it's not like any other business. It takes a lot of care and it takes a lot of understanding. And there's no one size shoe fits all for an ambassador. Someone that I talk to about content, I'm not going to also ask to do education. That sort of thing. It depends on what they are after. And whenever I talk to people, I'm always like, what is your goals? Because if I come in here as a business
Yeah.
and try get you down this path, you're not going to enjoy that relationship. So
No.
yeah.
We had someone on the podcast recently, and she
Mm,
had just gone through our 10-week mastermind program, and she's like, one of the things that I loved so much, and I don't even know if you guys realize that you do it, is that when someone in class is asking a question, you always have a follow-up question of like, what are your goals? Or, well, tell me how many weddings you shoot per year, or are you the primary breadwinner in your household, or is there someone else that, like, maybe you're less risk averse because it's not all
mm,
falling on you.
yes,
Like, we
yeah.
need to know those things, because for someone who maybe has two kids and they're the primary, breadwinner for the
Mm.
household, is very different than how we would guide somebody
Oh,
who
for
has
sure.
no kids, and maybe they're that dual income, no kids, like, household.
Yeah.
I think they call it like dinks,
Yeah,
a dink.
thanks. Yeah,
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 they're a
yeah.
dink.
Yeah, I'm
So
one of
then,
those.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's great. And like,
Yeah.
so and I lived that life for a long time before I had three kids, but we would advise things differently, and based on
Mm,
also just like the built-in demand when they come to us. Like, there's different levels of photographers and filmmakers that come to us
yes.
with help in their business that
Yeah.
have different levels of built-in demand. So we kind of have to like understand with context. We're always like, okay, it's just so we have context,
Mm,
answer these following questions, and then we can provide that. Because if you're just talking at someone without realizing
yeah.
what is the reality of their life and what the reality of their goals are, then you're not serving them well at
Yeah,
all.
100%. And it feels kinda icky, I feel like, for lack of a better word. Like, when you know that a business is just trying to use your following or use your influence, no one wants that. And I think, like, yeah, being on the other side of that, I've seen bad relationships for that sort of world, and people that have probably done something because they knew it was an income situation. But yeah, like you said, I mean, it is very important to know, like, what are your personal goals and what is your journey that you're trying to take, because then you can customize your decisions for that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been so fun talking with you, Taylor. Is there
Likewise.
anything else that you want to share with the audience about Narrative, about
Mm,
what you do in your role, or, I don't know, if they wanted to get in touch with you,
mm.
where they can find you too?
Yeah. So feel free to, if you are interested in going into this or just want to have questions, feel free to just either reach out on Instagram or email partnerships@narrative.so. Love to have a chat. I'm always down to hear about people's work and journeys. And generally, if you want to hear about Narrative, it's just narrative.so. We're a culling and editing solution. So our whole thesis is creative control, and we are hoping to be a new kind of player in the space of AI for sure.
Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.